So the Giants get the W last night in the first preseason game against the Lions. Now listen, we were talking about the running back core in the preview. If you didn't watch the preview, I did post it yesterday before the game, but check that out if you haven't already. But we were talking about certain key players that we want to focus on, and the running back core was one of those parts. And I'm gonna be honest, I kind of left Eric Gray off of there. I talked about him a bit, but I was just saying that he kind of has been underwhelming this whole training camp. Eric Gray had a game that he needed to have. Let's be honest. Eric Gray, 2 touchdowns yesterday. He had that breakaway 48-yard run where he did a nasty juke move, man. Like in the open field, he made that guy just completely lose his footing altogether. But the running back core is probably the most exciting part that we got from this game yesterday, man. Now, the Giants did put up 14 points. No points in the second half, but, we'll still take it. At the end of the day, the defense looked good as well. There's going to be some key players we'll be talking about in 1 second. But let's talk about what we're here for in the beginning, and it's going to be that running back core. Tyrone Tracy, he looked good. He had only 4 to 5 carries last night, but he made it like the most he could out of it. Because a lot of the time, you got to remember, this is the backup offensive line. No starting offensive lineman was out there yesterday, but he was making guys miss. Making guys miss right when he got the ball. And you like to just see the instincts with Tyrone Tracy. Now remember, Tyrone Tracy is a guy that's converting from a wide receiver to a running back. Last year was his only year playing running back. But you can see the burst with Tyrone Tracy. Like, you can see his contact balance as well. If there's anything I pointed out, or I would like to point out from many of his runs, was that one run where he kind of, shook off 3 defenders. Like, 3 defenders were, barging on him. He broke out of those tackles and continued to run and gain like 12 yards total on a play that he got, hit 3 yards after he got the ball. So you love to see that stuff out of Tyrone Tracy, and overall, you just love to see what the running backs did. Once again, backup offensive line, backups on defense. No matter what, you just like to see what they were able to do with the ball in their hands. Eric Gray obviously put up the most stats when it comes to any of the running backs. He got a lot of touches, not only in the running game, but also in the receiving game. Tommy DeVito hit him with a throw that he was going up the left sideline, almost like a wheel route. So you love to see him be able to come down with that catch where it's placed right out in front of him. It's definitely not just one of those screen passes, which we've seen the screen pass, and he did good with that as well. And then speaking about that 48-yard run, as being able to really just hit that juke move, really break that guy down and still take it to the house. One of the big things we talked about with Eric Gray last year was that, when there was a chance that he was going to be getting a lot of touches, as Saquon reported, Eric Gray never really got any run last year. But when I broke down Eric Gray coming out of college, he didn't really have that home run threat where he's really taking the ball 60 yards. But yesterday you've seen that, and it's good to see him to have enough speed to really make it to the end zone. So shout out to Eric Gray. He really needed that because, in my opinion, I think Dante Miller was definitely going to be, on the rise to potentially be that RB3. Because even though Tyrone Tracy is going to be RB2, I think he's going to get a lot of touches. I really do. I think he's going to probably get 5 to 10 touches a game. And when you're not the starting running back, you're the backup getting 5 to 10 touches. That's a good amount. That really is. Eric Gray, love what I saw out of him. But Dante Miller, he had the most carries out of all of them. He had 12 carries yesterday for 63 yards and averaging 5 yards a pop. You love to see that out of Dante Miller. Once again, by the time he got in, he mainly got the run in the second half. But you see the speed. The speed is there. Going north and south, the speed is there. You do, want him to really bulk up a bit. He's kind of light and he's not the biggest running back. So you can kind of see maybe he might have deficiencies if it's there. If he gets hit, he's probably going down. He's probably not breaking too many tackles. But if you give him a lane, if the hole is open, he's going to hit that hole, and you better catch him before he picks up speed. That's the things that I've seen out of Dante Miller. We've seen that out of training camp, and it's good to see it in the game. Fortunately, he didn't get a tud, but nevertheless, I love what I saw out of Tyrone Tracy, Eric Gray, and now Dante Miller. And we have a good problem on our hands. A good problem. Because, in my opinion, are all the running backs going to make the roster in the regular season? I really want them to, but I don't know if they'll carry 4 running backs. Devin Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, Eric Gray, and Dante Miller. If there's anyone that's going to be expendable, it's going to be, Dante Miller. Unfortunately, I just think he doesn't really bring too much value if he's not getting touches at the running back position. He's fast, and maybe, I'm not the coach. I don't see what they're doing on a daily basis. Can he make a play on special teams? It's just with his size, I don't know if he'll be out there, but hopefully he can. I would love to see all 4 of them on the roster. And there's still 2 preseason games to go. I think this next preseason game, you're going to see a lot of the first string players and all the starters, really getting their run. So that last preseason game is going to be very crucial. And as well as all these training camp practices that are still going to take place. Who knows? Anything can happen. Hopefully no injuries happen. We did get a couple different scares, but I'm glad they all got together. Let's talk about some of the bad. Now, Drew Lock, man, what can I say? If there's anything I was dead wrong about, was this whole thing with, the Seattle Seahawks GM saying that Drew Lock might get a chance to start, and potentially DJ not playing. Once again, I'm open with my takes, and when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. There's no way Drew Lock should be seen in the field this year. Unless the Giants only win 2 games and it's week 14 and, they kind of have no one to throw out there. I'd rather throw Tommy DeVito than Drew Lock. Drew Lock did not look good. And maybe this is too much for, the first appearance. It was raining a bit. It was his first start and he wasn't playing with the starters. But he did have Malik Neighbors out there. Malik Neighbors was on the field. Malik Neighbors was out there with Drew Lock, and Drew Lock didn't even target him not once. Now, the offensive line wasn't also doing him any favors. Throughout the game, the offensive line really picked it up, but Drew Lock really never got traction. And he threw a pick that was really bad. That interception was really bad. And that was the only points that the Lions put up was because of that interception. The defense and the second string defense, they were doing a good job. At the end of the day, it's not the Lions offense, it's not the starting offense, but nevertheless, that's what you wanted to see out of the defense. But Drew Lock, once again, he needs to redeem himself because clearly it's a downgrade right now as a QB2. We were able to have Tyrod Taylor come in and still run the offense, and if anything, still air the ball out. Drew Lock needs a lot of work. I don't know if he's going to be different when this offense is actually fully churning. I don't know if he needs the starters around him, but you can definitely tell the difference, and I think you'll see a difference when Daniel Jones is on the field. Not saying Daniel Jones is perfect or anything, but I think compared to Drew Lock, Drew Lock is not competing for that first spot at all. Tommy DeVito came in, though, and he looked good. He didn't look terrible. Tommy DeVito did throw for 92 yards. He completed 8 passes out of 15 throws. They didn't really throw the ball that much. Once again, it was raining a bit, so maybe that might have, hinged on that. When you look at the receivers, once again, they did throw out Malik Neighbors and Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt didn't do too much yesterday. He had one pass that I remember that he didn't even get any yards on. Malik Neighbors didn't get targeted, but as far as anyone else on the team, Tyree Jackson got a couple catches. Allen Robinson got 1 catch. Daniel Bellinger got a catch. And a guy that I really wanted to see did not even get targeted was Theo Johnson. I want to see Theo Johnson get some type of run. He was in there blocking, but I didn't see any passes thrown to him. So hopefully we get to see that in the second game against the Texans. I really, really am looking forward to that. Bryce Ford Wheaton did get a catch as well. Bryce Ford Wheaton went out for a bit with his hand injury, it looked like, but then he came back in. So that's good to see. But as far as offense, once again, offensive line didn't look too bad. Josh Azudu still is bad. But outside of that, the offensive line kind of did their thing. In the beginning, it was kind of bad because Drew Lock got hit for a reason because they didn't do their job. But nevertheless, throughout the game, they picked it up. Defensive side of the ball, you seen guys. Tay Banks was out there. Deontay Banks was starting the game, and he actually got a little bit of run in the first quarter. I was shook. I'm going to be honest because obviously we want our starters to play. But seeing guys like Malik Neighbors out there without the starters was a little weird. And also seeing Deontay Banks out there without all of the starters was a little weird as well. But, you didn't see anything bad with Deontay Banks, but you love to see that. He needs to go up against wide receiver ones, though. So we'll see what happens when he does. But with the time that he was in that game, he did well. Other guys that were out there, Dane Belton was out there getting run. Tyler Nubin was out there getting run. Deontay Johnson at the linebacker position, he had a tackle for loss. He also had a sack. He got banged up a bit and then went back in the game. He was all over the place, and that's what you want to see. Once again, we don't know what it is with Micah McFadden. We don't know how extensive his injury is because it seems like he does have one that's hampering him, and he's not really getting any snaps in training camp or in the game. But he's making the most out of it. Deontay Johnson's making the most out of the opportunity. Who knows, man? He might be starting for us when it comes to time to start in the regular season. He's shown everything that he can. And once again, when it comes to the linebacker play in the preseason, 2 years ago, we were liking what we saw out of Darian Beavers, and he got hurt, and it really never was the same. So we'll see what it translates to in the regular season. But Tyler Nubin lit up that offensive guard. I don't know if y'all saw it, man. Tyler Nubin blew up that offensive guard. Straight up just manhandled him. And Tyler Nubin, you didn't see too much going on, but he was around the ball all the time. And I really want to see it. Hopefully he gets the opportunity to get an interception. Trey Herndon did get an interception and then fumbled the ball and gave it right back to them. But nevertheless, once again, on the defensive side of the ball, they were doing their thing. Even the backup edge rushers. You didn't see too much out of Azeez Ojulari, which he's a guy like last year. He's not playing any preseason game unless when the starters are playing. And now he's out there with the backups. And you're still not really seeing too much out of Azeez, which is a little bit concerning. But he's a guy that's going to get, some plays in the regular season when KT and Brian Burns need a breather. He's the guy that needs to come in and still put up that production. We know he's always been productive when he's on the field, but the problem is he's never on the field. That's the problem with Azeez. So hopefully he puts it all together. Other positions that we're talking about, DBs, Trey Hawkins was out there. You also had guys like Andrew Phillips. Andrew Phillips was playing. He had a tackle for loss. He looked good. And one of his biggest things was that he couldn't tackle, but that tackle for loss in the backfield, he looked pretty good there. Andrew Phillips has been feisty all training camp, especially against the Lions in the joint practice, and now you see it when it comes to the game. Andrew Phillips did his thing. Overall, man, once again, my takeaways from this game, I'm glad the Giants won. I'm glad the Giants were able to play sound football. Now it's time to see the starters play. We're going to see more depth players continue to get run and try to make this team, but we got to see what the starting offense looks like altogether. The starting defense, we need to see him as well, but I think we all know we want to see Daniel Jones out there with the starting offensive line, and we want to see him throw to his guys. Neighbors, Hyatt, Wandale, we got to see these guys in motion. We have to. And hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. A lot of people weren't, glad that they didn't throw the starters out there at all. And I'm going to be real, I think they should have been out there as well. But on a rainy MetLife turf day, I'm just glad nobody walked away with any serious injuries. We're here walking away healthy. And hopefully, once again, they should get a lot of run when it comes to that Texans game. That's what we really want to see out of them. So you let me know what your favorite takeaways from this game was. Once again, who's going to be battling for RB2, RB3? Eric Gray made it known that he's still here. So we'll see what happens with that, man. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're going to talk about the Giants all season. We talk about them all day long. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.